Hey, Seth.
Hey, Allie.
I feel like we haven't talked about the news in a really long time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
here, obviously, we talk about it every day, but it's been crazy.
Yeah,
It's
and it's
been
high.
super
Yeah,
crazy.
it's high time that we talk about the news right here on the
hmm
podcast.
So, okay, let's start off with Kash Patel. So, the Atlantic dropped this story on Cash, right? Basically accusing him of having a drinking problem and saying that he was MIA. I think they said that they had to use a battering ram or
Yes,
something to
yes.
wake him up. Um,
He
he
was
also
so stone cold drunk
so wasted.
that
They had to use a
oh
battering
boy.
ram to get him out of bed for his job. And then um oh, and then he got locked out of his computer, right? He goes to work, he tries to log in, he gets locked out one too many times. So, no access or access denied. And immediately he jumps to, oh my God, I've been fired. Starts freaking out,
Yep.
allegedly, right? All of the people around him witnessed this meltdown because he thought, if I can't get into my computer, I must be fired. And like, that's not a person with a very clear conscience. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. I mean, we already know that, Patel has been right there helping, keep Trump's name out of the files as much as possible.
Mhm.
But now he's paranoid because Kristi Noem is gone, Pam Bondi is gone, whose head is next on the chopping block. And, especially if you're a functioning alcoholic,
Right.
paranoia is just part of that.
Absolutely. It's baked in. So today, he just recently, I think within the last hour, he did kind of his first press conference since this Atlantic story broke. Here's just a little clip of it. I know you haven't seen it yet. I have. And so I have to have your reaction to this video. Let's hit play on that.
Today.
Well, I do want to give you an
Sorry,
opportunity to
sorry.
respond directly to the allegations in the Atlantic article that your unexplained absences created a national security risk. And beyond that, can you say definitively that you have not been intoxicated or absent during your tenure as FBI director?
I can say unequivocally that I never listen to the fake news mafia. And as when they get louder, it just means I'm doing my job. This FBI director has been on the job twice as many days as every director before me. What that means is I've taken half as many days off as those before me. What that means is I've taken a third less vacation than those before me. What that means is that this FBI with this Department of Justice has dropped the murder rate 20 points. What that means is this FBI with this Department of Justice has captured 8 of the top 10 most wanted fugitives in the world, twice as many as the Biden administration did in its entire 4 years. What that means is this FBI has seized enough fentanyl off the streets to kill 178 million Americans, a 31% increase. What that means is this FBI and this DOJ has arrested 43% more spies in 14 months than the entirety of the Biden administration. What that means is this FBI has seen a reduction in opiate overdose deaths up to 20% alone. What that means is that we have found 6,300 child victims, 6,300 families have their kids back. That is a 22% increase from the Biden administration. I'm on the job. I'm the first one in. I'm the last one out. I'm like an everyday American who loves his country, loves the sport of hockey, and champions my friends when they raise a gold medal and invite me in to celebrate. I've never been intoxicated on the job, and that is why we filed a $250 million defamation lawsuit. And any one of you that wants to participate, bring it on. I'll see you in court.
I just, what does it mean? Because he said it so many times what that means.
So is the answer yes? I mean, he he seemed to love to tout like all the numbers, but you didn't answer the question, Cash.
Mm-mm.
Can you say? I mean, you can be at work. Oh, clearly you're on the job. The accusation is you're on the job drinking.
And didn't
So
we all see him shotgun a beer at the Olympics? I mean,
we did
was he on the
as
job
much as he
then?
could because only a rookie tries to shotgun a bottled beer.
Insane. Insane.
Yeah.
So that's the first little kind of clip that we've heard from him since the Atlantic story dropped. I mean, he seems unhinged as usual.
As usual. I mean, paranoid as usual. You know, again, just answer the question, buddy. Answer the question. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. And
It was a very direct question.
yeah, and so listing off all of your accomplishments that no one can verify in the moment.
No.
You're just listing off a bunch of stats off a sheet that nobody can look at.
And likely
just
are
like,
exaggerated or not true at all.
Yeah.
As often they are, right?
And I mean, you can do all those things and be drinking on the job.
Right.
You could
Because
be
you're not a one-man
functioning alcoholic.
show. Yeah, you're not a one-man show. You're the head of the FBI. You have an entire department that reports into you. I don't think Kash Patel is out there finding lost children. Call me crazy.
Doubt that.
Don't think
Doubt
so.
that. 6,300 victims he said that they found. I mean, it's all just, bravado and bluster. And that's what you get from this administration. It's just we're going to obfuscate. We're not going to we're not going to answer questions. We're just going to tell you all the good stuff that we're doing.
Right.
And we may or may not be doing it, but that's supposed to be good enough when we just completely don't answer the question. And so again, it just makes you look guilty, man.
It really does. And allegedly he has filed a $250 million lawsuit against the Atlantic. So stay tuned for Discovery, because that's going to be a blast.
Yo, like, it's funny because Trump just lost his $10 billion lawsuit with the Wall Street Journal. I mean, Cash, 250 mil, that's small potatoes, bro.
It's nothing.
Step up. Step up.
Nothing.
If you don't have a billion by the name, I mean, what's the point?
What is the point?
Step it up, bro. 250 million is nothing.
Nothing these days. Nothing for this administration. That's not even how they sue.
That's crazy, man. And so, I'm sorry, but if people are lying, they're not going to come up with a story about a battering ram.
It's so specific.
It's so specific
and wild.
Truly, you cannot write this shit. So, hey, look, the investigation is going to come out. And now, during the process of a lawsuit, all these details are going to come out. All these sources are going to come forth and drop their information, and we'll see where the chips lie. But, it just seems like the beginning of the end of yet another failed member of this administration.
Yeah, I don't think he's long for the Trump administration. I think his days are numbered for sure, especially the more unhinged he gets. So let's switch to Iran, because also right before we went to recording, Donald Trump posted a truth on Truth Social. This is the way he does policy these days. Because you're so good at reading Donald Trump's truths, I thought I'd give you the opportunity to go ahead and read this one off, and then we'll talk about it.
Okay. And we do it in the voice? Yes?
Yes. Yeah.
Based on the fact that the government of Iran is seriously fractured, not unexpectedly so, and upon the request of Field Marshal Asim Munir and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif of Pakistan, we have been asked to hold our attack on the country of Iran until such time as their leaders and representatives can come up with a unified proposal. I have therefore directed our military to continue the blockade and, in all other respects, remain ready and able, and will therefore extend the ceasefire until such time as their proposal is submitted and discussions are concluded one way or the other. Lots of words.
So basically taco again, because the ceasefire is supposed to be ending right now, right? We have no agreement. He is always threatening kind of fire and brimstone when he doesn't get his peace agreement. We don't have a peace agreement. Iran is saying we're not even going to discuss a peace agreement, not under duress, right? Not under threat. So what can Trump do? He can either bomb them to smithereens, which he doesn't want to do, or he puts out a policy in the form of a truth post saying, we're gonna continue the ceasefire. And we're gonna continue these talks.
And it's I mean, that's a whole lot of words to just say Iran's not meeting us in Islamabad.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there. They're not meeting with JD, with Jared, with Steve Witkoff. They're not showing up. So your whole call for a ceasefire with all these people begging you to stop. No, bro, it's because they won't meet with you. So you're extending a ceasefire agreement that, you're basically saying, I'm going to extend it because I have no choice, but I don't want you to know that I don't have a choice.
Like he's talking to himself at this point.
Yeah.
There's no one communicating with him from Iran. So he's just talking to himself when he makes these truth social posts. He's talking to no one. He's talking it to like the voices in his head, I guess. I mean, he's really fucking stepped in it. I don't think, Iran is in any rush to let him off the hook. I think they want him to suffer mass humiliation.
Yeah. And they're willing to hurt themselves in order to hurt us because they reside in the land of the oil. They don't have to worry about it. They can use it for their own purposes. Here in America, we sell the majority of the oil that we farm out. So, we drilled baby drill, but we sell baby sell. They can keep all of theirs and be sitting pretty take their little hit while we suffer here in America with everybody having to buy their own car, drive their own car. Very few of us take the train or the bus. We're beholden to fossil fuel, and they know that.
Yeah. So heavily reliant. Didn't have to be that way, but that's where we are. And it feels to me like Trump has just run out of options. I don't know where he's so painted into a corner. I don't know how he ever gets out of this. I really don't.
And we're already hearing multiple accounts of him being kept out of the Situation Room.
Oh, God.
He's so erratic.
Yeah.
And staying up all night. That tweet, you crazy bastards, open up the strait. That same night they kept him out of the Situation Room.
Right.
Because he was looking for the codes. And now I've just heard another story.
That's another alleged story. Yeah. So talk about that.
Yeah. I mean, just the other night, he was asking for the codes.
Yeah.
And I mean, to him,
terrifying.
This is a real option on the table.
Yeah.
And everybody, we talk about the 25th Amendment, and it's real cute because it has to begin with his cabinet, with his vice president, and they're all loyalists.
Mm-hmm.
There's not anybody who's going to look at this objectively and think about the American people. They're all loyal to Trump, and even though they see all these names falling by the wayside, somehow they're delusional enough to think, "Oh, it won't be me. So I'm just gonna hold on to my power." But it's at this point, it's so concerning.
It really is
so concerning.
The fact that he's even asking for the codes, asking to potentially use nuclear weapons on Iran, and allegedly, the most senior military member in that room was like, absolutely not, like firmly put his foot down, walked out of the room, ashen, head down, concerned. That should concern all of us. And again, I say allegedly, I don't know that this has been verified. This is all sort of leaked information, but it doesn't surprise me because we know during his first term, he had an appetite to use nuclear weapons. He's fascinated by them. He doesn't understand why everybody has them and no one's used them. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean you don't understand why no one's used them? Don't you know what happens after you drop a nuke? This guy is just completely out of his mind.
Yeah, and when you are tweeting all night, and in the middle of the night, you say something like, "Open up the fucking strait, you crazy bastards," as the president of the United States, and I hear on that same night that they had to remove you from the Situation Room, doesn't really surprise me. Sounds
No.
like you were cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, and the adults had to remove you.
Well,
And
yeah, it
that's
sounds like
embarrassing.
it's really embarrassing. It's really, I mean, if we can't rely on a commander in chief, right, to be in the Situation Room, making decisions, being strategically, involved with military decisions, you're not fit to serve, period. I mean, at the end of the day, we've all seen images and sometimes video of former presidents in the Situation Room overseeing the execution of a military, whether it's an invasion or like I think of Osama bin Laden when he was captured and killed. I mean, this has always been a thing. And the fact that he can't be trusted to be in the Situation Room because he is so erratic and disruptive. Where's the 25th Amendment? He's not fit to serve. We already know that, but this is like dangerously unfit to serve.
And it puts an even bigger spotlight on the midterms. I mean, this administration is not going to remove him. The American people have to go to the ballot box, and we have to overdo it.
Yep.
We got to overdo it. And obviously there are reasons why, they're messing with, our voting rights, and, they're looking at the voting rights bill. They're looking to try to change some things, and we see why.
Yeah.
Because they're desperate to hold on to power, and this guy's losing it. This guy's losing it. So we got to take the power out of JD's hands, out of this cabinet's hands, and the American people are going to have to remove him.
Absolutely. Let's talk Congress, because a lot has happened there.
Oh, yikes.
Since the last time we spoke. So I guess the first domino to fall, technically, over the last couple of weeks was Eric Swalwell. Another sex scandal.
Yep.
This was wild how this broke. I think it was a couple of creators that broke this story. It was Mrs. Frazzled, and I can't remember. I want to say Cheyenne something was the other creator. And they just had women that have had bad experiences with Eric Swalwell reach out to them because they, like Mrs. Frazzled attended his launch, like the very first meeting when he launched his gubernatorial run. And she was there because a lot of times politicians now like to have these big creators in the room with them because they know when it gets shared out, it just completely expands their reach. And so she reshared her time in that meeting, and women started reaching out to her. Don't associate yourself with this guy. You don't want to get mixed up with this guy, because she's beloved. She provides education content first and foremost. She's incredible. I've been following her for years, and nobody wants to see Mrs. Frazzled get hung up with a guy that is being accused of just the most egregious acts on women. I'm glad he's gone. Again, these are all allegations, but we have to believe victims in 2026. And when there is that much smoke, there is indeed a fire.
Yeah. And I mean, look, like we talk about the Republican Party has a problem, how they disrespect women, how they are holding on to their people who commit these acts as well. But look, of all the accusations, 40% over the last couple of decades have been against Democrats.
Yeah.
And so we have to, at this moment, we have to look introspectively. I think it's, even though the timing sucks as far as we were looking forward to retaking the House even before the midterms, and now that seems like it's almost impossible. So even though the timing sucks, we are going through a purge of the Democrat Party.
Yeah.
We've been interviewing progressives because we know that this is the time. We
Yep.
know that these people exist. And what just sucks is that you find out that like people knew about Eric. They knew about him. And yet he was allowed to rise through the ranks. He was allowed to become a young star of the Democrat Party, to the point where he was the lead candidate for the governorship of California.
One of the most
And he was going to
open.
win.
I
This guy
know.
was going to win, and all this stuff would have come out later. That would have been even more embarrassing.
Oh,
So
that
yeah,
would
I'm
have
glad
been
it's happening now.
that would have been disastrous. But yeah, these sort of open secrets where they're open on the Hill, people know, people talk about it in whispered corners and cocktail parties and at the bar and over dinner, but no one challenges that behavior, or leaks the behavior or checks on the women. I mean, we just got to do better. And so I agree with you. It is a purge. We are weeding our garden, right? Metaphorically. And there's a lot of Democrats that, have not done anything nearly as egregious as Eric Swalwell, but they're also beholden to super PACs and foreign interest money. And we see that in the way that they are voting, especially around continuing this war in Iran, and continuing to fund Israel and their wars. And they just have to go. But they just have to go. I'm not afraid to say that as a Democrat. I wish Republicans were equally as accountable on their side of the aisle, but typically that is not true. But the same day that Eric Swalwell resigned, Tony Gonzales finally resigned. I think people have been calling for that for what, a year?
Damn near. Yeah, over a year. I mean, we're talking about a staffer that he had a relationship with, that he had an affair with, because he was a married guy, right? And so he sat in Congress for months and months and months and voted on many bills. He was there when the big, beautiful bill got signed into law. This was hanging over his head then. I mean, for those who don't know, his staffer killed herself, lit herself on fire.
It was ruled as a suicide, but let's be honest, setting yourself on fire as a woman, as the way to go out the door,
right?
Crazy.
And the texts that have come out are awful. I mean, this dude was a psychopath. Who absolutely set her on the road to self-harm.
Yeah. And it's, men with power and this sense of entitlement and no accountability, and in the hands of the wrong men, you continue to see these kind of things come out. So I'm glad both of them are gone. And now today, Rep. Sheila McCormick from Florida resigned. She is currently embroiled in a financial scandal. So the House Ethics Committee was set to consider whether to recommend she be expelled from Congress. 25 ethics violations related to allegations that she stole federal relief funds and used some of that money to fund her political campaign. She has a criminal trial also about these allegations that is scheduled for February of 2027. Seemingly before the ethics committee began discussing whether or not to expel her, she decided to resign, thinking that that expulsion could potentially have an impact on her criminal trial, right?
And it's just not a good look.
It's
just
not
a good look.
It's not a good look.
And the whole party's going to get dragged through the mud. And I mean, if I can say these two things about Swalwell and Sheila, like at least the damage was mitigated and people understood immediately what time it was.
Yeah.
And that's the only, that's the only solace that I have in this moment, is that we know what to do. Even when we do bad, we know to get the heck out of Dodge. Republicans stay in. I mean, Gonzales stayed in forever. We got Corey Mills, who has multiple allegations against him, including sexual misconduct with a staffer. 77% of these allegations are with staffers.
Mhm.
So we have this awful culture in Congress of people shitting where they eat.
Yeah.
And that completely has to change.
And really exerting their power, right? Because if you are chasing after interns or staffers, there is such a huge power imbalance there. You're an elected representative. These are interns. They're just starting out in the work world in general, and they're coming across a politician who is powerful, potentially on the path to become the governor of California. And I can't even imagine being a young woman, 22, 23 years old in the world of DC and having someone that you obviously admire enough to work for,
Yeah.
right? Then suddenly turning that relationship into something that feels more predatory. And you're right. I'm glad that as Democrats, when this stuff happens, we almost always kind of expect that they resign, or we put pressure on them to resign. But it has to stop getting to this point. A lot of people knew what Eric Swalwell was doing. It shouldn't have to leak at a national level for us to hold each other accountable within the party, right? It's like we're closing ranks around each other and hiding all of these secrets. Same thing with Sheila. Somebody somewhere knew this was going on, right? You have to get to this level of alleged fraud. Someone somewhere knew. And so we just have to get better at why are we waiting why are we waiting, number one, until so much damage has been done to the reputation of, representatives, and to the health and well-being of the women that have been victimized in the case of Eric Swalwell. I really hope that this is a wake-up call. I hope this is a watershed moment. I hope that Democrats learn to not keep secrets like this. We have to hold each other accountable. We're entrusting these people. We're voting for you to not only represent our best interests as your constituents, but when you're at the federal level, you should be holding yourself to the highest possible standard. That's the expectation when we go out and vote for you.
Yeah. And, I will say that it is encouraging to see people like Lauren Boebert and Nancy Mace speaking out.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy Mace introduced, it wasn't a bill, but it was some sort of measure to get Corey Mills out of office.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a Republican trying to get a Republican out of Congress. We haven't seen that maybe ever.
Mm-mm.
So at least, this is starting to be exposed, and at least, I guess we just can't expect anything from Republican men, but at least some of the women, like MTG, she was able to step aside. Now she's one of the biggest critics of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
And now Nancy Mace holding themselves accountable, Lauren Boebert speaking with AOC, trying
What do
to
they
do the
all
same
have in
thing.
common? I'm trying to decide what it is.
The ladies.
There it is. There it is.
I mean, Melody Stansbury said it. Elect women. They don't have these kinds of scandals.
Yeah, I mean, there is some financial messiness here going on with Sheila, but by and large, women in Congress, women in politics are not caught up in the majority of any of these types of scandals. So my God, can we get to a place where we vote for women? We just really need to.
I mean, and just now that Trump's labor secretary, Lori Chavez DeRaymer. I mean, she has come under fire for an inappropriate relationship and possibly drinking on the job. So
Right.
I guess you just got to drink if you're part of this administration.
That is a job requirement. I'm pretty sure if you're going to sell your soul for Donald Trump and have to literally look at people and lie for a living, because that is part of the job as well, right? is constant lying, constant gaslighting, avoiding and evading real questions from the press, and any accountability. I guess you got to numb. It just comes with it, right?
And there needs to be legislation. There needs to be new rules put in place. The
Yeah.
fact that there was a slush fund for this kind of congressional,
Oh, gross.
grossness,
Yes.
like to find out like, oh, it's such an accepted part of the culture there
The
that
cost of doing
there's money
business.
set aside because
Yeah.
we know it's going to happen. That has got to completely change. And again, more women just makes it a lot more, the lowers the chances that it'll happen.
And what workplace? I'm trying to think of like what type of industry or business would create a slush fund, knowing that their employees are going to violate sexual harassment policies to take care of the perpetrators and not necessarily the victims or both. I mean, the fact that that even exists, we have a systemic problem in Congress. We
Yeah.
really need to purge these people, and there has to be such massive backlash to anyone that operates in this way, that moves through Congress, you know, looking at women that are subservient to them or subordinates to them as prey. Like it just, I don't know, culture, we need a culture shift in our
Yeah.
politics.
And I think, I think it starts with progressive candidates. I think it starts
Yeah, I
with
agree.
women and progressive candidates. I mean, you
Yeah.
don't see these kinds of things happening with progressive candidates. You just don't. You don't
No.
see these kinds of scandals.
Well, they
and
come
these are
in.
embarrassing things for the American
Yeah,
people.
absolutely. And progressive candidates, they're coming in untainted, right? They're coming in sort of clean because they're not getting PAC money. They're not meeting with lobbyists before they're, before they even get out there and run their campaigns or get elected into their roles. So there's just you're lessening the chance that those people are going to get involved in things like that because they're completely untainted going into those jobs.
If we're talking about, just the hundreds of accusations that we've seen over the last couple of decades, fully understanding that less than a third of women actually report
Yeah,
their assault, then what is the true number? And that
right.
should scare everybody.
It should scare everybody. So I'm glad Eric is gone. We'll see what happens in terms of perhaps accountability from a criminal perspective. And uh, let him be the first domino to fall. If this is the norm on the Hill, like I hope that they all start to come out with these stories so we know who's who and they can be gone and they will be replaced with just more decent people.
Yeah. Yeah. The midterms are vital. This redistricting of Virginia is vital, even more so now because it's with losing Swalwell and losing the representative from Florida,
Yeah.
it makes it almost impossible to take the House before the midterms now. And I hate to, but that is the result, right?
Yeah.
Like we
That's
don't
the
like how it
consequence.
happened,
Yeah.
but that is the result.
Yeah.
And so I hate to think of it in terms of a math thing, but again, and the timing is so bad.
It's
It's
horrible.
so bad. It's so bad that if it's almost intentional,
I mean, and but I'm okay with it. I'm still okay with it.
Yeah.
We do try to hold ourselves to a higher standard. Are we necessarily living up to that standard? Obviously not. But we're gonna always, at the end of the day, I hope, do the right thing in expelling people away from the party that are engaging in this kind of shit.
Yeah. We got to shine a light on it because it
Yeah.
would, Me Too began this whole movement several years ago. It was holding people in Hollywood accountable. Now we are holding our leadership accountable as well. And and only good things can come from that.
Agreed. Right before we came on here, I was looking at our old friend Steve Kornacki, He was at the big board because Virginia is having their redistricting vote today. Today is the last date to that last day to vote on redistricting. The polls closed about an hour and a half ago. So he was going kind of district by district. Before we hopped on here, it was looking pretty good.
Yep.
Obviously, there's red and blue counties like any state. But so far it's looking like a majority of voters are voting yes on this redistricting. That's going to gain 4 seats for us in the midterms. So this is reactive. This is not us going out and trying to change the game. This is us responding to Republicans that are redistricting in the middle of a decade, which is unprecedented, in an attempt to steal or unduly influence the outcome of the midterm elections. And so, we did redistricting in California. We did a vote on that. That went through. We're doing a vote in Virginia. What was the other state where we did a redistricting vote?
I believe it was Maryland was trying to do it, but I don't think it went through.
But the difference again between us and the Republicans is we're putting it to a vote, right? This is led in the typical tradition of democracy. Citizens of Virginia, do you want to redistrict in the middle of a decade to allow us to have a more fair and balanced midterm election from coast to coast? And they get to make that ultimate choice. Republicans don't play it that way. They just go ahead and do the redistricting. Voters don't really have a say.
Yep.
I'm really hoping
Texas
we get
or
a yes
Florida.
on this. Yeah, it just doesn't, So by tomorrow or later tonight, hopefully we'll know how that redistricting vote went. I'm really fingers, toes, everything, eyes crossed that we get a yes on this. It's essential.
Yeah, it's essential because it will neutralize whatever they do in Florida. And once again, it's important to show that the Democrats are about democracy. We're about the vote of the people, the will of the people, whereas Texas and Florida are just saying, we're going to do it. Don't care what you think about it. It's happening. And hopefully people recognize the difference because we're already seeing seats flip in the state house in Florida. Trump lost Mar-a-Lago, the Mar-a-Lago district. They've lost Boca Raton. They've lost Miami. So Florida can continue to do this to their citizens unwarranted. But when they get their chance to vote in November, I get a feeling that Florida is in play because they're seeing what happens and they're saying, wait a second, they've taken our right to vote away, our right
Taking our voice
to determine what happens in our state.
Exactly.
And all Americans are going to have a problem with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, if you've silenced democracy in that way, and that's what that is, it's not going to sit well in this day and age. And I really hope you're right. I hope we see some blue waves in places we would not typically see them this November. But right now, I'm just holding my breath for this Virginia battle. Let's hope that it goes through. That's going to be huge for us. We really need that for the midterms.
Yeah, I'm excited because Virginia just a couple of months ago showed everybody the blue wave that is happening over there. I mean,
they sure
it was a clean sweep for the Democrats. Clearly, the momentum is there. Virginia was already kind of, waiting towards the blue side of the pool. But now I really feel with this administration and just how incompetent it is and the promises not kept. And with the elections that we're seeing, because forget polls, right? Anybody can come up with a poll. The polls are what they are. Real elections are happening and Democrats are winning. So given the fact that we had a great showing in Virginia just a couple of months ago, I feel like this measure is going to pass and we're going to get 10 seats in Virginia. And so
I hope so. I mean, Obama's out there, he did his own little video encouraging people to go out and vote yes.
Right.
So we're going to find out hopefully tonight, early tomorrow morning, we'll see. But really looking forward to that. I think that's pretty much a wrap on the biggest news stories that have been happening, unless you have any other. Yeah, I mean, that's exhausting enough. We're going to get back to interviews. We are obviously, our interests, what we do is we pursue grassroots progressive candidates to interview ahead of the primaries and ahead of the midterm elections. But one of the problems with interviewing grassroots progressive candidates is they have very little money to run their campaigns. So their biggest currency is their time. They're extraordinarily busy.
Mm-hmm.
They are out on the campaign trail. They are canvassing constantly. Any event, any open door invitation they get, they walk right through it. So to the audience, if you know of any progressive candidates that would like an opportunity to be platformed, send them our way. Drop a comment, send a DM. We'd love to connect with them. That's that's why we started this. We want to keep it going all the way through to the midterms. And yeah, the hunt continues.
Yeah, and that's how we purge.
Yeah.
We're purging in a non-violent way.
Exactly.
We're telling these dudes to hit the road. Like we are bringing in progressive candidates, people who are not tied to PAC money, to Israel, to foreign interests, period.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. When we get that, we're going to see a lot more people voting for the will of the people, and we're going to see a lot fewer of these scandals, these embarrassing scandals that happen in America way too often. We're looking for accountability, and the people that we are having in these interviews are going to be accountable. They're real people just like you and me.
Yeah, real people that, obviously never thought of themselves as even being aspirational in terms of politics, but they want to meet this moment and they want to do the right thing for their communities. They're all so heavily involved in their local communities, and it's so refreshing to see that from these candidates. So bring them our way. The more, if you know any in your state, in your area, please let us, please connect us with them. Love to have them on the show, and we'll be getting back to interviews, I'm hoping next week.
Tag them on Substack, YouTube, IG. We're everywhere. Make sure that they know about us and that we know about them. We would love to reach out and talk.
And even if we can't get them on the show, if you just know great people and we're unable to connect with them, we'll do the research and we can sort of platform them together, right? Talk about some of the things that they're doing in their local community, and just bring awareness to these really great candidates that unfortunately don't have the coffers to be on your television and on social media 24/7 with paid advertising. So that's really what gives us a thrill. And if you could just send them our way, we'd be grateful. But I think that's the news for now, Seth. Oh, do you feel better? I don't know.
I may need to take a shot.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right, Seth, I'll see you next time. Thanks for catching up with me.
All right, see you next time.
All right, bye.
Bye.